Hi, welcome to Change, sponsored by the Senior Barn of Schaumburg, where nutritious meals, friendly peers, and social activities are available every day of the week, under the able direction and guidance of Marina Lovich. The cost and location are available to all. I am Fran Rogas. Our program today focuses on the 60th anniversary of Schaumburg and taking a look back in history. I would like to introduce our panel. Jane Rosick, she's our local historical librarian. George Klinger, a barn member. Gloria Meyer, also a barn member. Today's show will focus on Schaumburg's 60th anniversary. We hope you'll join us in spending some time reminiscing about this time's remarkable past and how it has transformed through the decades. But first, let's consider just about how things went in 1956. Doesn't seem so long ago, when Schaumburg was first incorporated and consisted of about 2 square miles. Can you imagine? And had a population, excuse me, of 130 residents. Wow, what a whopping metropolis. Its incorporation enabled development and foresight and planning of its early village leaders that brought significant economic growth to the town in the years to come. George, what is your affiliation with Schaumburg?
Well, I've been here 54 years. I raised 3 children here, and it's a nice place to live. I never got involved in politics or anything, although I do know of them.
But you're grassroots. Gloria?
My husband and I looked around Hoffman, Hanover, Streamwood, and we thought Schaumburg had the best builder and the best school districts.
Oh, great.
And we moved here in 1964.
Okay, I used to pass through here in the 60s, and there wasn't a very large town at that time. In fact, there was a lot of unlit streets, and it was fun passing through.
Well, that Campanelli school there was the only school around.
Really?
And it was named after the builder.
Oh, okay.
Campanelli Builders, and he built a
He was a very good
builder, right.
Yeah, I think he built in Mount Prospect, where I live, and yeah, nice sturdy homes.
Right.
And Jane?
I am the local history librarian at the Schaumburg Township District Library. I've been in the area, I've been at the library since 1984. I don't live in Schaumburg, but I have worked here since that time, and I've been involved in the local history since probably about the year 2000, when we started our digital archive on our library's website. And I also run a local history blog too, where I do a posting once a week on all different aspects of the history of Schaumburg Township.
Sounds very interesting. What are your earliest memories of Schaumburg?
Our mayor was Mayor Atcher.
Really?
Yes, he was a singing cowboy at the time, and that was the first mayor I remember. And
Yeah, he used to get on the old Grand Ole Opry and sing about metal gold butter.
I remember that.
And I'll tell you what, the first time I met him, it was really surprising. After seeing him on TV and with his strumming his guitar and singing, and then to meet him in person with his horn-rimmed glasses and everything. And,
really?
And I'll tell you what, I was really surprised to find out he had a very high IQ. And after talking with him a while and getting to know him and everything, he came up with the thing about as long as we have to grow, let's do it right. And he turned around, and he's the one that sort of He put the industry in an area. He put the
Really?
apartment buildings in an area, residential in there. He sorted it all out, just basically, and then he kept changing it as time goes by.
And he was a rancher also.
Yeah, and he knew his stuff. I mean,
It was
he
called
was
a
a very
master
smart
plan.
person.
He had a master
Oh, he had a
plan.
master
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was, Schaumburg was basically pre-planned before it was actually built.
That's wonderful.
That's what it was. That's what we went to these meetings periodically and got the catch up.
Jane, what did you think of the changes that transferred to us? I know there was Woodfield Mall, and I used to travel there from Bloomingdale and pass the Archer Farm. I had 4 horses at the time in Bloomingdale, and I would pass up Meacham Road, and it was a nothing. Meacham was nothing. Nobody would believe it now that's born at this time. And I'd pass there, and then I would go down Gulf Road and go east, and it was black as pitch at night.
Yeah. If you
Before
wanted to
Woodfield.
shop, you had to go to Elgin or back into the city. There was no shopping.
When I moved in, the construction ended at Braintree. That was the end of the houses.
Really?
And east of that, there was just pasture.
Cows. Cows in the field.
And they had a big water trough over there.
Oh, I remember that.
Trees over there. And when the wind was blowing the right way, you knew they were there.
The thing that really kind of brought development to Schaumburg was the fact that the toll road was built. It was started in 1956 and it was completed in 1958, and it made it very easy for people to come from the city or from the suburbs that were closer into the city out to Schaumburg. And as a result, they started buying up farm parcels. And
really? How
yes.
nice.
And that's how a lot of the villages out here got started, because the toll roads made it much easier. And about that time too, 53 was widened from 2 lanes to 4. It's hard to believe that it was 2 lanes at one time. And then
I remember that.
very shortly after that, some of the larger corporate campuses started being built, places like Pure Oil and Motorola and
Centex.
Right.
Well, that was the big thing with Bob Atcher. He had the name to where he could get into these bigger corporations.
Would you keep that thought? We'll be right back. Welcome back. Things are quite different now than they were in the 1950s. That was my favorite decade. And Schaumburg was going through rapid changes in transitioning from a rural community to that of a suburban metropolis. The cost of living might have influenced some of those to choose Schaumburg as a place to live and raise a family. Let's take a look at some of the prices back in the 1950s. A house was $10,000 to $12,000. A car, $1,500. And items like a TV were $250. A loaf of bread, I am embarrassed to say, was 18 cents. And that's how it went. And of course, things are bigger, better, and more expensive today. The houses are safer, however. What attracted you to live or work in Schaumburg?
Well, to begin with, to buy a house in '62 when I moved out here, it took at least $10,000 down to buy a house in the city.
Oh, yeah.
And out here, it was only $1,000 down.
Really?
So, I mean, that was a big thing. But along with it, we traveled around the whole area, and we found out that this seemed to be the nicest town
For the cost
and the way they talk to us in the offices and everything about what they're planning on doing and everything. And we were that's what sort of drew us to this thing.
You're kind of a pioneer.
Well, I wouldn't call it that.
Well, from
This
the
was an
50s
old
to the
farm
60s.
village. This was nothing but farms. My mom
Yeah,
said,
but I didn't
"You're
come out in
going
a covered wagon or anything.
Oh, I think our kids think we did.
Those words like Springingsguth and Wise Road is really Wheezy. These are family,
Yeah, these are all
farm
family.
families.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
the names. Yes.
It's all the
German.
farm people that lived here.
Oh, okay.
Springingsguth.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like it.
Sutherland or what is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Some of the parks are named after the first Park District people.
The
We have-
schools are.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm glad I don't live in the W section. Everything there is W, section of W.
In my area, it's trees and people, names
Yeah.
and that. Is there anything you miss? Now, you don't live here,
Right.
but you're aware of what's going on. Is there anything that stands out in your mind that you miss from previous years that is gone now?
Well, on a grand scale, I do I have to say, miss some of the open spaces, some of the farm fields. The Winkle Hockeys held out for a long, long time. They had the farm at Plum Grove and Higgins Road, and there were farm fields there, and they would be out in the fields
Oh, that's so
working.
beautiful.
And it was a neat juxtaposition between the farm fields there and the wood field area. And I do miss some of that. On a more personal note, there was a shopping center and it's still there. It's called the Annex. And back in the 80s, when I first moved here, it was a shopping center that had outlet stores in it.
Oh,
Land's
really?
End was there, Van Heusen. There were a number of
right.
outlet stores in
That's
that
right.
mall, and I used that mall quite a bit, and I do miss that. It's just
Yeah.
a small little thing, but it was a nice shopping center.
What do you think we could do to preserve some of the spirit of Schaumburg without going too far into progress?
We have a sister city in Germany.
I didn't know that.
There's a Schaumburg, Germany.
And we had Schaumburg
Schaumburg,
beer
Germany.
here. You could go out and get Schaumburg beer. It was sold in all the buggy whips and whatever was around. Do you remember that?
Oh,
Yeah, the funny part about it, I was in Germany in the service and I never ran across Schaumburg.
really? Oh.
Especially Schaumburg beer, huh?
A lot of the communities seem to have been built up from farmers from Germany.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was basically a German town.
yeah. Well, it's fantastic. I know I love it. I don't live here, but had I known about it years ago, I would have moved here.
Well, you know what I really miss more than anything? We had Ho-Ho's Chop Suey,
Really?
and it was real close to the house, and we knew everybody in there, and we used to have it at least once a week.
Oh, yeah.
And we knew it, and they, when later on, when other people moved in, they were what they called fast food, as far as they were concerned.
Yeah.
And they went out of business because they drew off enough business to put Ho-Ho's out of business. And it was a loss. I'll tell you, we really missed them.
I love Chinese food.
Well, it's a different type of, the one's
It's a
Mandarin
wonder
and
food.
the other one, I
Yeah,
don't.
it's
but-
wonderful
yeah.
food. So enjoyable. And if you have a good restaurant, oh, please go to it often because you don't want it to fold. So many very fine restaurants have closed because of
Yeah.
circumstances financially.
There was a place called St. George and the Dragon. They had a balloon man that made
Yeah,
balloons
yeah.
for the kids. And they had a big fireplace in the middle of it was very warm.
Where was that
was
located?
that?
Right on the corner of Barrington Road and Irving Park,
Really?
right?
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Remember?
See, there are good memories.
You couldn't get a pizza except at the cottage, the Pizza Cottage in Roselle. Now we've got Lou Malnati's and we've got Rosati's and we've got everything now.
Good appetite.
Uno's and
Yes.
Pizzeria Uno
I
and
was happy when the Burger
Giordano's.
King came in on Higgins Avenue over there.
Yeah, yeah. Thank God for changes and that.
Yeah, but along with it, though, like you say, the prices have changed a little bit.
Oh, a little. It's scary, and I think for us seniors, we feel it more because it's just happening too fast.
Yeah.
And the way things are going and that.
Well, the prices outdo what we make, you know.
Definitely, definitely.
I was lucky. Me and my wife, we planned ahead, and but a lot of people that I run across at the barn, you know, they're not as lucky as we are.
No, but isn't it warm and friendly there?
Oh yeah. The people over there,
Reasonable.
they're very fantastic.
Yeah.
The people that work there, they're all very helpful, very friendly.
And Marina is so very kind to us.
Sometimes I wonder how she puts up with us.
She has a lot more patience than I do. And I think I'm a reasonably patient person. However, you know, there are times.
You get a good, nutritious meal at a good price for seniors, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And everybody has a friendly face there.
Yeah. 'Cause
Okay.
After my wife died, I wasn't getting a square meal. I mean, when I start going over there for lunch and everything, I finally get a decent square meal.
I did the same thing, only I can cook. But it was lonely.
Yeah.
And the kids, you know, the empty nest, and you need friends, and you make friends at the barn.
Yeah, they're very easy.
I'll be right back. Thank you. We're back. A place that has been around for 4 decades and currently serves as a second home to many of the area's seniors and teens is the Schomburg Barn, referred to as the Great Hall Building. For the seniors, it provides a nutritional center, and for the teens, a social atmosphere, which they really need. It has changed and grown quite a bit over the years, along with Schaumburg. When I first went there, I couldn't believe it was a barn. And when I told my family, I'm going to the barn today, they said, "Oh, Mom, yeah, you belong in the barn. What are the animals?" And I said, no, it's a senior center. And they said, "You gotta be kidding." Would you tell us some things that you might know about the history of the barn?
The barn was before Campanelli obtained that property. It had belonged to a slot machine magnate and his name was O.D.E. Jennings. And he bought the property around 1918. It was becoming kind of common he was kind of an early person to do it, but back in the day, a lot of the wealthier people who lived in the city started buying some of the farms that became available in the rural area close to the city. And he bought they were called gentleman farmers, and he bought this property and constructed the house on the property and the caretaker's house on the property. I'm not sure about the barn, if the barn was there when he bought the property or if he kind of built a new one himself, because they did do farming on the property. It wasn't just a place for he and his wife to come and relax. He also had a home that he built at the intersection of Springinsguth and Schaumburg Road. It was where the mobile gas station is today. And his attorney lived there at different times, and eventually that home, when the farm was sold, the home was moved down Springinsguth Road and is now on near Irving Park and Wise Road. So that house still exists as well. Nice. But they lived there for quite a number of years until he died in the late 50s. And his wife had the farm for a while, and she's the one who sold it to the Campanellis.
Are you familiar with the the homes down there, like at Roselle and Schomburg Road there. My daughter was telling me about these Victorian houses that are over they're called Painted Ladies. Mm-hmm. Do you know?
Probably talking about the turret house.
Is that what it is?
That's now owned by the village,
She
yes.
brought this up on when I was going through my notes.
The turret house, and then the Fens house is across the street from that. It's a nice brick one. And then what's called the Quindell house is very close to the turret house as well.
Why would they call them Painted Ladies, though?
Because they painted them
ornate, or-
with different colors, contrasting colors. There's quite a number of them actually in Elgin. There's some
Quite
there's some in
attractive,
Barrington.
aren't they?
Yeah,
They're beautiful.
They tend to be the Queen Anne style.
Oh.
So yeah.
And you can't afford it. I would love to have one. I truly would. There was a time that I looked into buying something out, probably close to Schaumburg, and they were such beautiful homes, antique
They're
homes.
beautiful homes, but did you ever try to heat them?
I was thinking, my husband told me that, so we never had one.
It's a man thing. I mean,
Yeah, it's a man thing. But I'm a quilter, and quilters love antique type buildings. We just really love them, even though they don't make sense. There was a home on Schomburg Road that was for sale. I think it might have been sold. They're putting up townhomes right next
Oh,
to
it was
it.
the Ponzer house.
Oh, I would love to have had it if it wasn't on Schomburg Road. Too busy.
Yeah, they picked that one up and moved it.
Did they really?
It used to face Schomburg Road, and now the side of it is parallel to Schomburg Road.
Oh, okay.
Well, George and I remember when that barn was a jailhouse, a courthouse.
You're
well,
right.
they also had square dances in there,
Yes.
and they had the haunted houses in there.
Really?
They had a haunted house, and I never went to them or anything, but my kids loved them.
Right.
The jail was on the lower level, wasn't it?
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
my.
that's where we do our voting nowadays.
Yeah. Well, we do a lot of things for the senior public at the barn. We celebrate Flag Day. That's a big one every year. And then the intergenerational garden that seniors work with on the upper level, wonderful containers with fabulous soil. And the teens contribute and help us. They're wonderful. They're just great kids. I shouldn't say kids. They're wonderful individuals. We do outside events for nonprofit organizations. We adopted the Lakeview School. Children and grandparent age individuals love children, and we provide them with winter accessories and canned goods during difficult times. We have twice a month what we call the older adult market, and food is brought in. It's shelf stables and some fruit and vegetables, and it helps us all. It really does. It's a wonderful event. And then the nurses from Schaumburg come in on that day usually and check blood pressure, check us out, make sure we're healthy. Marina is our watchdog. She checks on us all the time. Very kind and gracious lady that I want you to meet. We would love to see you at the barn. I think the two of you and I really agree it's a home away
Sure
from
do.
home. We have friends. We tease, we taunt. We're not perfect.
We're all in the same boat.
Exactly, and that's what's great about it. We are all in the same boat. We understand each other. We make friends. When somebody's missing, we know it. You may get a get well card if you are having surgery or ill or whatever happens. Please call Marina at 847-524-7496 to make a reservation, or better yet, just stop in. There's friendly faces. We welcome you. ask any questions. We'll give you the answers as best we can, and we invite you to stay. And I think you'll come back. I really do, because I've made friends with these two wonderful individuals, and I have a new friend in Jane, and I thank you so much. Anything you could add?
Yes, I want to mention Lisa from the library. She brings us books.
Oh, yeah.
Large print for seniors because we have trouble. But it's so nice to have the books brought to us.
Thank you
Be a book
so
club.
much for visiting us this day. We hope you'll come back next month and check in with a new topic. Thank you, and please be kind to each other. We need you. Thanks.